Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the weather that we're having here this week. Hopefully you guys are getting time outside and enjoying the sunshine. It's been a little bit hot, so maybe you guys have been doing a little bit of water play. I don't know. But hopefully you guys are enjoying the weather. Today we're going to be reading our amplified text, learning more about Earth's weather and Earth's climate. So remember, weather is ever changing. Some forecasters say it can be raining today and it actually is sunny all day because it's always changing and it's really hard to predict. There are weather patterns, but it's hard to predict. And then a climate is the weather of a certain place over a long period of time. So on average, remember, one of our vocab words, or typically, what is the weather like? So a really good example to think about is the desert. When you think of the desert, it's typically dry and typically hot. And we can all think of the pictures of the desert in our head if we close our eyes and we see the sand, maybe some hills, some camels, some cactus, but it's very hot and it's very dry no matter what time of the year it is. That is what the desert's climate is. All right, my friends. So first off, we're going to go over our vocab words, and then we're going to go and read our amplified text, and then complete a small little activity together, okay? So our first word, say it after me, atmosphere. Remember, the atmosphere is the gas that surrounds the earth. So it's everything around us, this gas that surrounds the earth, okay? Our next vocab word is average, right? Average means common or typical. So our example that we talked about was during summer in Marietta, the average temperature is about 100 degrees. It's pretty hot here during the summer. Our next vocab word is climate. Go ahead and say with me, climate. Remember, climate is the average weather of a place over a long period of time. So tropical rainforests are very wet. Deserts are very dry, okay? And the climate in Marietta is also very dry. Our next vocab word is equator. Say it again, equator. Good. So equator is this invisible line. Remember, there's not really a line around Earth, but scientists use this line to divide the Earth into two hemispheres, and that's the middle of the Earth. The closer you are to the equator, the hotter it is. The further away you get from the equator, the colder it is. So North and South Pole are the coldest because they're furthest away from the equator. And our last word is precipitation, right? Say it again, precipitation. Remember, precipitation is any type of water that falls from the sky. So there's 4 types of precipitation. 4 types: rain, snow, sleet, and hail. So any water that falls from the sky is considered precipitation. All right, my friends, we're going to go ahead and turn forward 1, 2 pages, right? And remember, when we're looking at our amplified text, we're thinking about what things are the same, like the pictures all seem to be the same. But what's different is under each picture, there is more words, which means there's more detail, and it's going to tell us more about this passage before we get to the full text tomorrow, okay? So first we start with our title. So remember, our title is the same, Earth's weather and climate. So learning about different weather and different climate all over Earth, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and point to each picture and each passage, and I want you guys to follow along. Remember, highlight your words as we are reading, okay? And then we will go ahead and talk about the question at the very end. So the question we're thinking about is, how do scientists define different climate types? Okay, so think about different climate types and how do scientists define that? Okay, so let's go ahead and point to picture 1. Remember, we have here our sunny day with our cumulus puffy clouds. Weather describes the atmosphere over a certain place at a given moment in time. Okay, remember, so just a given moment. So right now, it's raining. Oh, and then in 2 hours, it's sunny. So at a given time, what is the weather? Picture 2. Climate describes the average weather patterns of that place over long periods of time. Climate describes the seasons, right? So each season has a different climate. So in winter, it's cold and snowing. In fall, the leaves are falling. And in summer, it's hot. In the spring, look at all those green, beautiful pink flowers, lots of rain, right, to help all those spring flowers bloom. Picture 3, here's the thermometer telling us how hot it is outside. How do scientists track these weather patterns? Scientists measure temperature, which is how hot or cold a place is. Picture 4, remember, what are they measuring here? Right, the precipitation, the snow. They measure the amount of precipitation that falls from the sky as rain, snow, or sleet. Scientists use different tools to measure these factors, right? So they may be using a measuring tape, maybe they're using different size cups to see how much snow is falling. They have all different ways of measuring how much snow is falling from the sky. All right, guys, I'm just going to move myself over here so I don't cover the passages. Okay, picture 5. Remember, this chart is showing us the average, the common rainfall of different months of the year. Okay, so how much rain fell in January and how much rain all the way to December. Okay, then scientists use this data to figure out the weather patterns of a region. Using this information, they can define the climate type. So remember our question, how do scientists define climate types? So make sure we're paying attention right here to think about that question. Picture 6. Regions near the equator get more direct sunlight, so they tend to be warmer. Places closer to water have more moisture, so they tend to get more rainfall, right? If you're closer to water, it's more moisture, more rainfall. As a result, Earth has several different climate zones. Each climate has its own characteristics. Understanding a region's climate helps people predict the typical weather throughout the year. Okay, so how do scientists define different climate types? What information do they gather in order to define climate type, right? So go ahead and think about it. Look at the pictures. What are different ways that scientists define different climate types? Okay, remember, they use precipitation fall. So how much precipitation is falling in a certain area? That's how they're going to define the climate. That's how they're going to decide what climate type that it is. Also, how hot or cold a place is over a certain amount of year. So they might do a chart just like this all throughout the year, right? And they're going to say how hot it is and then get an average or the common temperature throughout the year. And they use all these different pieces of information and research in order to define different climate types. All right, my friends, we're going to go ahead and turn forward 1, 2 pages, right? And we should be right here on page 100, okay? And we're going to be looking at this this word chart. And so Ms. Harmon already has some of mine filled in. So we're going to I'll go ahead and talk about it and teach it to you. And then I want you to pause the video and make sure you have a chance to write into your book as well, okay? So what we're looking at overall, right, is climate. And what is climate? Remember, it's typical weather of a place over a long period of time. So weather is ever changing, right? And climate is the typical or the average weather of a place over time, okay? So go ahead and pause the video and write down that definition into your box and then go ahead and unpause to come back to the rest of the video. Okay, now we're going to look at 3 different types of regions that we have on Earth. Okay, and we're going to talk about the climate, remember, the typical or the average weather over a long period of time in these different types of parts all over the world. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be looking about is the tropical rainforest. Okay, so when we think of the tropical rainforest, right, let's think about close our eyes and think about some sounds that we might hear. Think about some things we might see in a rainforest. Close your eyes. Hear those sounds of a rainforest. I hear lots of animals. I hear water. In my head, I'm seeing green and blue and brown on the trees and maybe some different colors of the different colors of the animals. Okay. Good. Go ahead and keep on envisioning the rainforest. Okay, now here's a picture of the rainforest, okay? So look, I see a waterfall. I see a beautiful creek or some type of water canal. I see lots of green, lots of brown, very earthy. It looks very wet. And I know that where rainforests are located in Earth, they're close to the equator, okay? So let's think about those things as we fill out our chart. Okay, now we've listened to those sounds and we've seen the picture, right? What do you think the rainforest is? Do you think it's hot or cold? Remember, it's close to the equator. That's right, hot. Good. And then, do you guys believe that the rainforest is wet or dry? What do you guys think? Go ahead and take a minute, think about it. Remember the picture, remember the sounds. Good job. It is wet. The rainforest is hot and wet. So the climate of the rainforest is hot and wet. Now let's think of a desert, okay? Now close your eyes and listen to the sounds of a desert. Okay? Think about colors you might see, think about texture, think about movement. What kind of animals live in a desert? Snakes, birds, lizards, right? Okay, and then open up your eyes. I want you guys to look at a picture of a desert, okay? Okay, and now go ahead and look at this picture, right? Think about the colors, think about the different things that you see. Right, here's another picture of a desert animal, okay? So I see lots of flat, I see lots of brown, lots of sand, okay? Okay, based on those pictures and those sounds that we just listened to, okay, do you guys think a desert is hot or cold? Which one? That's right, it is hot, okay? And then do you believe that a desert is dry or is it wet? So based on those pictures, did you guys see a lot of water? Or did you guys see a lot of land and a lot of sand? Not too much water, right? So do you think it's hot or cold? Wet or dry? That's right, dry. Okay, guys, now for our last habitat that we're going to be looking at is going to be the polar ice cap. So first we're going to listen to a video, and then we're going to look at some pictures and talk about whether it's hot or cold, or wet or dry. Okay, guys, close your eyes. Listen to the sound of the polar ice caps. Think about colors that you might see. Think about the movement, what types of animals you might see. Okay, now slowly open your eyes and we're going to look at some pictures of the polar ice cap, okay? Okay, guys, what do you guys see here? Okay, I see lots of white. I see lots of snow, right? And I know that snow is very cold, right? So I know this place must be cold. And think about, what is snow? Snow is precipitation, which is water falling from the sky. Okay, so think about whether it be wet or dry. Okay, my friends, what do you guys think? Is the polar ice cap, which is North and South Pole, is it wet or dry? I'm sorry, is it hot or cold? Remember, snow is cold. Good. And then, is it going to be wet or dry? What do you think? Remember, snow is a type of precipitation, which is water falling from the sky. So what do you guys think? That's right, wet. Okay. So now if we look at the three different types of areas we looked at was tropical rainforest, desert, and polar ice cap, right? And their climate, which is a typical weather over a long period of time, right? The weather can change in these different places, but the climate typically remains pretty consistent, pretty the same. So a rainforest is hot and wet, a desert is hot and dry, and the polar ice cap is cold and wet. All right, my friends, make sure that you write all of these down in your chart, okay? And I will see you guys tomorrow for Choose Joy Thursday to read our full text. Hopefully you guys are enjoying learning about Earth and the different climates we have all over the world. Bye guys, have a great day.